You're watching Fugitive Red-Eye, and welcome to another episode of Takeshi Tuesdays. Today I'll be talking about Outrage. Now, Outrage was the start of one of Takeshi's trilogies. He's done a total of 2 trilogies, however, this is the only one that is a traditional trilogy, meaning it's a movie followed by 2 sequels. Whereas his other trilogy wasn't really sequels, just 3 similarly thematic movies. So this is his only real true trilogy, and the only times Takeshi has ever done a sequel. There will be some mild spoilers ahead for the end of this first movie, because it won't be possible to talk about the sequel without spoiling the ending of this one. I'm not going to talk about the sequel itself in this movie, but there will still be some spoilers for the ending. I'll try to keep them for a minimum, but there is a semi-major one that I do kind of have to give away. But the fact that there is sequels does make it obvious in the first place. Outrage was released in the summer of 2010 and runs for 109 minutes. It's a movie that's basically about a Yakuza turf war, and basically these Yakuzas fighting within an inner conflict to rise to the top. Takeshi himself plays one of the main characters, a guy named Otomo. However, he is not the main character necessarily. I mean, he is arguably throughout the trilogy because he's the one consistent character throughout. But the fact is that it's more of an ensemble cast, whereas it features many different characters, and it's shown from many perspectives. It's a little bit difficult to get into all of the stuff about the plot, but like I said, basically it is a movie that follows a Yakuza inner conflict, and 2 different families kind of rising to try and be the top of their sort of region. And there's a lot of treachery and stuff like that in it. The movie itself, as always, is a bit slow, as are most Takeshi movies, and that's a good thing. Like I said, I do like his style. However, I do think that there are movies of his that are much slower than this, and again, I never felt that this one dragged. This one is kind of a mixed reception amongst the fan base, but I personally liked it a lot. And for a while I even said this one could have been my favorite. Again, that's something I'll talk about later on when I rank all of the Takeshi movies. But this one, for a while, was my favorite. Like I said, I do think Fireworks or Hanabi is currently my favorite, but this one is definitely up there as well. It's a little bit difficult to get into all the details of the plot, because like I said, it is a very in-depth movie. If you like Yakuza conflicts and shootouts, as this movie has plenty of both, I'd highly recommend checking it out. Now, the movie itself ends with Otomo getting stabbed in prison, however, and it implies that he dies. However, that was a fake out because there is a sequel, and he's well alive in that one. Talk a little bit more about that when we talk about the second movie, but that was the spoiler I was talking about earlier. Anyway, I highly recommend Outrage if you like Takeshi's other Yakuza movies. I do think that his other Yakuza movies are possibly a little bit better than Outrage, in all honesty. I think Sonatine is probably better, as is Fireworks. But Outrage and Beyond Outrage are still 2 of his best movies. Outrage Coda is a pretty decent movie. I do like it a lot, but I do think it is the low point of the trilogy. I'll talk a little bit more about Outrage Coda in Season 2 of Takeshi Tuesdays, and I'll talk about Beyond Outrage next week. Anyway, this has been Fugitive Red-Eye, and you have a great day.
Subscribe to Fugitive Red-Eye.